champagne.
And we are ready to begin our podcast on 50 Shades Darker by E.L. James.
Yeah.
You're acting real excited because this is not how you were acting about the first one.
Sure was not. You got a whole new me for this one. I'm in there.
Okay, so Rhea.
The movie was directed by James Foley. The screenplay was written by Niall Leonard. Let's go for it.
So, part 2 of the 50 Shades of Grey series.
Definitely had a great soundtrack once again.
Yes, it
Yes.
does.
I had to add that one in there.
Thank you.
I didn't put the soundtrack up there, but you're right.
There was no need to because it stands by itself.
It was really
Alrighty.
good. The movie was great. The book was great. I can't even pick on anybody anymore. I like it.
I never
it was
thought I would see
funny
this day.
because when you kept saying how much you didn't like the first book, I was like, I know she's gonna like the second
We
book.
said
The
that.
second book is so much better.
It is.
But we said that. I was like, the
Yes.
storyline builds, and you're going to like the second and the third.
Wait for it.
Tell it yourself.
E.L. James, okay, you have been redeemed in my eyes. I really liked this one. Really, really, really liked it. I could follow the storyline. Everything was great. Movie, Christian, great.
Okay, so now that you have an appreciation for the book and the movie, do you want to talk a little bit about your opinions of the Christian Grey? Because you didn't really have a lot to say back then.
Much better.
You like Christian?
Yes, I do like Christian.
I still don't like Christian.
I still do not.
I feel like it stepped up though.
Yeah,
We got to see him more as a person.
yeah.
Because he was trying things Anastasia's way. So you get to see him in a different dynamic.
Right.
Now you got me. Now there's a story going on.
But
Yes, I did like it. I actually loved all the characters. Every single character
I love the introduction of seeing Miss Robinson like actually as a person.
Yeah.
Before it was like this infamous like seductive old lady, but now it's a person. And when she had her in the bathroom and was talking to her, I was like, how did you not deck her?
Right.
Stab her
You're talking about
in
Anastasia?
the throat.
Yeah.
Stab her in the throat. I was like yelling. When I was reading this book, I was like, yes. Yeah. So excited.
Did she say kill, 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 kill?
Yes, and I loved Grace Gray.
Her character in the first book and in the second book is
She's
amazing.
exactly what I pictured.
But
also.
yeah, especially in that fundraiser scene when she's kind of like looking at Christian and Anastasia as a couple, and you can tell that she was really finally seeing her couple.
Right.
Why are you distracted me?
You want to finish that? It's like, couple, wait. I was envisioning in my head. I feel like I was like 5 years old. Ladies, okay. I'm going to need you to regroup.
Really?
This was a really good book that we need to discuss.
Really?
Where are you? Okay, so, I feel like I'm never really gonna like the adaptation because I don't like Christian Grey.
I agree.
But I do like Anastasia, and I know you have your opinion about Anastasia.
I love Anastasia.
Why?
Because she is that role. I mean, who said you gotta be a certain look to be gorgeous and intriguing? She came across as this, and she's holding him accountable for what he said. Like, she's now becoming a stronger woman.
Which is true. I can appreciate
I think she
that.
always tried to be, but then she tried it his way, which was hard for her to be strong since she had to be so submissive.
Yes.
But now that they're doing things her way,
yes,
she's now showing her more domineering side.
And what's Cray Kay's name? What's Cray Cray's name? The other girl.
Who's Cray Kay?
I forgot.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't even remember Cray Cray's name.
What are you talking about?
Because she did good on that.
Is it, the one that was in her
Well, I
apartment?
can't with the gun talk about.
Is that
Layla, something like that, yeah.
Layla was
how did you
exactly
get him to love
how
you?
I envisioned her. Exactly.
Yes. Definitely with like the dark hair.
Well, yeah.
What are you doing for him? I mean, it was so good.
What you got that I don't got?
Exactly.
Yes, it was
exactly.
good.
And that was a
Yeah,
good
she
scene
did.
too.
Yeah.
Layla did a good job.
She did.
She definitely destroyed that car
So
too.
I I personally continue to be extremely frustrated about the inner thoughts. Like, I needed them to display those because I'm so sick of the staring. And I'm like, the whole book, when you read the book, it's all like, my inner goddess said this, my inner thought said this, my whatever said this. And I'm like, can we just hear those thoughts on camera? It drives me crazy.
I do feel like the people looking at the screen miss a lot.
Yeah, if they haven't.
If you have not read the book and you just saw the movie, go buy the book.
Because I'm sure you're confused.
It will be so much better if you can buy the book and then learn more about the inner things that are going on.
Learn about the characters too, like how they handle situations. Because you have that. Well, Anastasia, for example, of how she like processes her thoughts.
Yeah, especially her. Even in the first one when she was in the hardware store, you didn't know, in the book, you knew exactly. She was all scared. You know, just little stuff like that made me not like.
Yeah, because you don't know what she's thinking. And I think it's so important to understand why she's saying the stupid stuff that she's saying. Exactly. It's because of this thought struggle that she goes through.
Exactly.
Anyway, so that continues to frustrate me.
I was there were a few things that I noticed in the adaptation that what's wrong with y'all?
But you keep saying adaptation.
I feel like that word needs to be said like
a little emphasis.
I think the fan is taking over, like, adaptation.
Right. Okay, Mrs. Robinson.
It's almost like Miss Robinson.
If only y'all could see her now with this little fan.
Oh my God.
Hear it?
La 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 la.
The la representation. The fan makes a la la sound.
No, it doesn't.
But yes, I feel like there were a few things that were left out that could lead, again, someone who did not read the book, read it. Do you notice how I'm saying they have to read the book now?
Yeah, I'm very shocked. I don't know who's in here with us right now.
It was so much better.
Completely different person.
You did a complete 180.
Well, you know, what can I say? When it feels good, it is good.
Okay.
Wow. You want like take 5?
Christian Grey, give it to you.
It just seemed more. For some reason, this book felt a lot more real.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It became a plot. Yeah. More than just you kind of reading like one of those. I have a late friend named Jim, and he actually would always say 50 Shades of Smut until he actually read the second book. He was like, all right, well, I can't really call it that anymore.
Yeah.
It got much better. I mean, there are a lot of things I loved how they changed the sequence of things because it made it run a little more smoothly. After reading the book and then you watch the movie, there are things that you can clearly see that they changed the timing of it. Where even like when they had the conversation about getting married, even when they had conversations about when mom said this to Anastasia, changing the flow of those made the movie so much better. But I did notice that a few things would have had me confused had I not read the book. In the movie, they never mentioned really a lot about, what was his name, the boss?
Jack Hyde.
Yeah, that nasty Jack. That Jack was nasty. They left out some of those parts from the book, and so when you watch the movie, you're like, well, what's the problem?
Right.
Exactly.
Like, what happened?
It seemed like it was just like one incident when they were at the office versus how he continuously was harassing her.
Right.
In these like subtle ways that were very uncomfortable.
And it seemed a bit rushed, all of that.
Yes.
Like they were trying to get to the point.
Like it was like, oh yeah, you're my secretary. Oh, I want you. Versus like those little like brushing up on her arm and like leaning over to point something on her desk over top of her type thing. So those things are what I envisioned from the book that were not in the movie.
Right.
The other piece where I feel like they left out some stuff that was confusing was the time when it was near the end when Dr. Grace walked in on Mrs. Robinson and Christian and Anastasia talking. So in the book, she actually walked in and heard Christian say, Mrs. Robinson, I can't remember what her name was in the book, but the only thing you taught me was how to F-bomb. And you never hugged me. You never did any of that. Like, he went through this whole dialogue. Right. And Grace heard all of that. In the movie, the way that they had Grace walk in, it's like, why is she so upset? Because she didn't really overhear anything. Like, she did not overhear any language which indicated that Christian was being molested.
Right.
It wasn't as much of a smack in the face as it was.
But she did hear it.
She did hear.
It's just, I think the timing was off in
I think she kind of figured it out.
No, he had to go explain it to her because he said, I need to talk to her. And then he went and he told her everything. But it's just the timing of how they showed her walk in. You wouldn't have thought you heard anything.
Right, and you're thinking to yourself, well, what is she upset about? Because she didn't even hear anything. So that drove me crazy because the book really outlined everything he was saying and what she overheard. And you're like, okay, this is why she's furious and hurt. And then Kristen kind of just needed to go calm her down. But in the movie, it was like, I don't know, I just didn't get the impression that she overheard anything. So, because they didn't actually say it.
Right.
Like, it was, the dialogue wasn't the same. It was just...
Yeah, it was a little off.
Yeah. So I didn't like that part. It didn't make any sense.
Did you also recognize in the book when they were talking about the whole incident with the airplane, in the book they really talked about how this was the most safest airplane, because Christian's so anal.
Yeah.
This is the safest airplane, and there was some sort of defect or something went wrong. Like, they really talked about how something went wrong with the plane, but in the movie, they didn't really make it so obvious.
No,
it was just like the plane went down.
Right, basically.
And,
all of a sudden.
And then, of course, you have that final scene with Crazy Jack. It doesn't really come across like maybe Jack had something to do with it. And maybe that's because they were doing the next part. Right. I don't know. But I would never have gotten that whole connection had I not read the book.
Right, I agree.
So you started reading the third book?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I was just wondering because you made a connection that something went wrong. I guess in the second book they did talk about something went wrong.
Yeah, they said that in the second book.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just so pleased that you're a little more positive about Shades of Grey. I mean, I feel like we don't really need to even get into character descriptions because we talked about that in the first episode. But I'm glad that they didn't make any modifications on the characters, because sometimes they do that in the next set they take out someone.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they left everyone pretty much the same.
Do you know what I thought was like the most awesome scene? The proposal.
Yes,
the proposal.
Yes,
I was like, I mean, dang.
The new proposal?
Yeah, because remember how he asked her to marry him and it was like a kind of a garbage proposal, but then in the movie they really made the second proposal, like when he was down on the knees and he's out down in all the flowers and then the fireworks.
It was really nice.
You did this?
It was so
right.
That's
why.
And that was one of the scenes that changed from what was in the book. They rearranged how that scene went with the mom and talking about Christian and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah. But I was glad they left the keychain piece in there when it was like, you have to answer in your box the whole time. Like, I'm glad they kept that in both.
Yes.
I don't know why that was a significant.
It was very significant.
It was to me too.
It was significant because, she really already had made her mind up.
Exactly. And it wasn't because he was in an accident.
Right. It wasn't because he was in an accident. It wasn't any of that. It was just like, this was how I already felt, which is why I also love the scene when they were sitting in the house and just worried, like, what's going on? I love the conversation happening then with the mom explaining to Anastasia how much she can tell that, he means to her and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah.
She's really into it.
Really, I don't even know what to do here.
I'm so excited for you to read the third book.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see how this evolves.
Yeah, but it's only 3 books. Now I'm like, well, wait a minute. Is this the next one? That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, I'm sorry.
See her face right now.
The little kid pout.
All right, so I think you guys want to get right into the rating for this one?
Yeah.
So I feel as if this was a great adaptation. I think the modifications didn't hurt the storyline. It flowed for me. So I'm actually going to give this a full glass of wine.
Yep.
I have to agree. I'm going to give it a full glass of wine. For one, it was my favorite book out of the 3. And I think that they did a really good job of making it my favorite movie out of the 3. So I give it a full glass also.
We can skip right past Rhea.
Go ahead, Champagne. What you talking about?
We already know. I agree. This is definitely my favorite in the series. So I definitely would give it a full glass also.
This is me, and this is Rhea, and it gets a full glass from me. A full glass of this Stonehouse wine from Alani Winery. Very good.
Okay. So it gets a full bottle of wine.
Woo!
And repeat again, what wine are we drinking?
Omni Winery. We are drinking the Stonehouse white wine. Very, very good.
Light, refreshing, a little crisp, but delicious.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. Oh,
I can't.
did she say they're magically delicious?
She did.
She went there.
Okay, thanks for tuning in. You can catch our episodes every week. And you can follow us on
Instagram at Read Watch Wine.
Facebook, Twitter,
Spotify.
and listen to us on any avenue or any
Platform.
platform.
Everywhere.